Okay, IB year one. This is 3B. So today we're going to talk about the measures of central tendency. I think most of you guys know this stuff. So it's a pretty easy statistical information. And the first up here is the mean, median, mode. Basically, you guys know those. The mode is the one that occurs most often. There can be no mode or several modes. I do believe we talked about this actually in class earlier, I thought, in this book even. Um, there's no mode when every number in the set is equal in number of terms. There also can be multiple modes when there are, say, three twos, three threes, and a five. So the 2 and 3 would be the mode because they occur the most often and they're the same amount. And not every term has that same amount. And then obviously the median is the middle number. Now make sure that when we do that, we are putting them into numerical order. So therefore that you have them in order, and then you start working your way to the middle. And if it happens to be you get to the middle and there are two terms, you take the average. Add them up, divide by 2. Talking about average, average is mean. The mean of a set of data, the mean value is the sum of all the numbers divided by the number of values that you have in it. Of course, look at this thing. We got some weird formula, crazy formula here, is the fact that x bar. So be careful. You should know that anytime you see a little x with a bar above it, it means average or the mean. And it's a scary formula, but they're saying 1 over n of the sum of from 1 to n of x. And they use xi. I think they're using xi there. Where n is the number of terms, so from 1 to the nth term. So if there are 10 terms, it'd be 1 over 10 because you got 10 terms. Divide by 10. You have 10, so 1 to the 10th term of x, which means you're adding 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5, or whatever those 10 terms happen to be. So x is the term in it. And that's what you can see here as we start to add them up. So the sum of. And then we get all to the point of actually we're going to start talking about frequency tables again. And so remember from the last lesson we had a frequency table. It just means that you're using a single number multiple times. So therefore, this looks even scarier, but it's the sum of the numbers times the sum of the multiples of them. So if x is your number, f is the number of times you're using it. So you do, if you have 5 threes, you do 5 times 3, plus 4 twos, and so on, and then you can add them all up and then divide by the total number of numbers, and that's why you have f there. F is the actual number of each term, and so you take the sum of all of the term numbers and then you multiply or divide that into the total sum of all of their values. So we got some examples here that they want us to do. Number 1, the grades in a history class for 14 students. That's good to know. They want you to do the mode, median, and mean. It's actually backwards. Usually they go mean, median, mode, right? But they have it backwards: mode, median, mean. So the mode, obviously you're going to want to put those in order. Oh, it actually changes, because look at the question. It says find the mode, median, and mean. When a 15th student took the test, the mean became 66.2. Now I'm going to pause the video so I can find some values here real quick. Remember, I'm going to right now put them in order. I'm going to find the middle number. I'm going to put them in order, and then what we should do is find the mean of the group right now, like to find the total at least. So do that. So I took the chance here. I went through and I reordered them. I hope I have all 14 of them there. If you notice that the mode, as of right now, I see I think I may have put my numbers in here wrong. I did. I skipped one. I skipped one here at 58. There is another 58. So 58, as it stands right now, is the mode. Now, if you think of, there's going to be one more student. And if there's any other number, is there any other number that has more than one term in it? And I'm looking at the list, and I don't see any other term here have more than one. So mode 58 has to be the mode, because even if I had another 58 or 35 in this group, I'm going to then still have 58 be the most. So the mode's not going to change even if we add another student to this list. So then the question is, where's the median? Okay, the median, I don't know if we can find the median, because not with the new kid until we know what the new kid is, because the mean originally is 66.2 with the new kid. So I said, hey, let's find out what the mean is without the kid. So if you took this, added them all up, and divided by 14, the old mean I have is 66. So the 66 is the old mean. And if I think about what's going to happen to my mean, it tells me that the mean actually has to go up. That means that the new student coming in is going to have a score that's actually higher than 66. Now, it's probably not very much higher, because he's only going to raise it up by 0.2. So let's take a look here, and how we're going to do this is the fact that 66 is the average when 14 people have already done this. So they have a collective amount of points. If I took 66 and I multiplied it by 14, it'll tell me that there are 924 points in the system already. Right? 14 times 66. Then we have to do the same thing with the 66.2, so 66.2, and I'm going to multiply that by 15. Remember, this was 66 times 14. And then I end up with 993. And if I subtract those two values, it'll tell me the value of the other kid's test score. And it actually happens to be 69. So if I do that and I get that score, now I can actually figure out, hey, that value should be added right there. And now I can actually find the median, and I can roll in and find the new, what was the other question? The median, and I can find the mode. So we already have, and find the new mean, because, well, we know the mean. Well, it's kind of interesting. Oh, never mind. I actually read this wrong myself. I'm just kind of realizing it now. When the 15th student took the test, that's for part B, calculate for the 15th student. So actually, 69 is the 15th student. Okay, so we just did part B. Part A, mode is 58 because there's 3 of them. We have to move in. I totally read this problem wrong until I'm talking it out with you guys again. So, I'm going to change colors, and we're just going to start walking her in here. Move in, move in, move in, move in, move in, and move in again. I end up being between 66 and 67, and if I'm between 66 and 67, that means the middle number is 66.5, right? So 66.5 I will put up here. 66.5 is the median. The mean originally is 66 because we added them all up and divided by 14. And the mode was 58. And I think we had mode already there. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. So, that is A and B. Sorry about the confusion. If you guys are confused about that, I started mixing the two parts together. Okay, then it says, Mindy finds some bags of candy. So, I guess, we're all in a learning curve on here. I really am not liking how they don't separate very nicely in this book between the problems. But we are now into number 2 here. And Mindy opens some bags of candy and counts how many pieces are in each bag. Here are her results. I'm going to clean up some space here for us. And find the mean number of bags in the candy. So, really easy. We have 23 pieces, we have 2 of them, we have 24, we have 3 of them, and so on. Just multiply 23 times 2, 24 times 3, 25 times 9, 26 times 5, and 27 times 1. And if I take my calculator and add up, and multiply these across, I'm going to do this off, and I can multiply across to get these numbers, add those numbers up, divide by this total because that's your frequency. You have 2 plus 3 plus 9 plus 5 plus 1 bags of candy. We end up finding that the mean of this particular frequency table is 25. Please verify that with your own calculators. Okay, well, if you guys notice on this particular page, there's this little calculator button. Unfortunately, you guys don't have access to right now to this book as in the full online version. And without being in this class, I'm going to have to walk you through it. I don't have a graphing calculator at home. I think we can possibly start to TI opened up subscriptions, but they don't have it for a Chromebook, and that's what I've got at home right now other than my iPad. So I'm working on this so that I can maybe take some screenshots and insert as well. But because right here it asks us to use technology to find the mean and median of this data. So I will try to walk you through from memory that I've done in the past. So what you guys are going to want to do is you're going to want to take this data. Obviously we can do this by hand. We just did in the last problem. I'm not going to do that. We can count up, find out, hey, where's the mode, all of those things. But for your technology, and I think that's where we're going to come into here, and I'll kind of explain this for you, is you're going to have to go to stats. It's in the middle of your calculator. You're going to go to stats, and you're going to want to go to clear list. So you're going to want to clear out any of the list on there. And it matters what calculator you're using. Some of them you can type, it'll automatically have L1 in there because it's list 1. I would like you guys to go to, in that clear list when it comes up, I want you to clear list 1, so L1 and L2. Now you're probably asking where it is L1 and L2. It is, I do believe, underneath your 1 button and underneath your 2 button. So you have to go to second, I think, second 1, and then second 2, comma, put a comma between them, and then second 2. That should be an L1 and an L2. Once you've done this, hit enter, it'll clear your list. More than likely, it's all the lists that you guys have. Go back into stats and go to edit. And when you go to edit, you will find a particular window that has all a bunch of lists, and so it's L1, L2, L3, etc. Start with entry 1 here and just put in your numbers. Put in 146, 151, 158, 158, 161, 149, etc., etc. down the list. Then hit second, quit. If you hit second, quit, you'll be back onto your home page or back to the original spot. Then go back into stats in the middle of your calculator top there, and this time arrow over to the I'm trying to think. Well, you arrow over 1 to the right. I'm forgetting what exactly it's called, but in there should be a spot for single variable stats. And now that I'm thinking about this, we may have to stop and fix our calculators. I'm trying to think, did we do this already in the other lesson where we had to go to catalog which is like second on button or on the bottom left corner. Second there, find catalog and go to diagnostic on. We may have to see if I can find a calculator and go into our Google Hangout to see if I can show a video of this. Conference everybody. So what you're going to do is you're going to put diagnostic on, so that when you go to your stats list and you go to your operations there, you can go to single variable stats. You put in L1. If you put in L1 and leave frequency out, you will then be able to be told the mean, median, mode, standard deviation even, of those numbers. So I can't remember off the top of my head if we had talked about that before. Now, the difference then, and here, hold on, I'll tell you what the answer should be. The mean should be 171.3 and the median should be 58. So the mean means that the average amount of ice cream sold in 13 weeks is 171.3, and the middle number of ice cream sold is, or the most, or the middle, in the middle would be 158. Meaning half the amount of ice cream sold is above 158 and half would be below 158. So that's what I'm hoping you were able to find there. And if you think about it, if you added them up and divided by 13, was it, for 13 weeks, you should also get 171.3. Next problem. In the next problem, you got a score, so you're throwing some dice, and if you count them up, you have 2 through 12, that's the values, and they have the frequencies. So you're going to go now and clear those lists again. So go to Stats. When you go to Stats, go to Clear Lists and type in L1. And if you type in L1, hit Enter to clear out the list that you just created. This time, I want you to put the score, go to Edit List, go to Stats, Edit List, type in 2, 3 through 12 on list 1, and then 21, 9, 8, 4, 7, etc. on list 2. So going down list 2. Now when you go to single variable stats, do the same. So go to stats and then go to calculate. I think it's calculate. I can't remember that top paragraph is or heading is. Go to single variable stats, because it's still on the single variable. This time you're going to put for list 1, that is your variable, and then it's going to say frequency. Put in L2, so second 2, and that will then add the 21, the 9, the 8 to say that you have 21 scores of 2. You have 9 scores of 3. And so therefore, we can find, and if you hit enter all the way through and calculate that, you will now find the mode and the median and the mean for those sets. And actually it will tell you the mode. Now the mode obviously must be 2 because you have 21 of them and there's nothing bigger than that. Statistically, that's actually pretty insignificant. Significant, that fact that 2, when you roll dice, should not happen very often. 2 and 12 are the least likely to happen because they only can add up to 2 or 12 once out of all the times that you could throw some dice. 7 should come up the most often because there's several different combinations to get the 7. So it's actually kind of cool. So the answer for this particular problem, the mean is 5.82 and the median is 7. Try that out. And the last problem here that we have is a lot like the intervals that we had for our frequency table before. And so to handle this, I have some choices. There's only one that they're going to use, but it says 50 cats, and then they have their weights for those 50 cats. So if a cat weighs between 2 to 3 kilograms, there's 5 of them, and so on. Here's the thing. I can't choose just 2, and I can't just choose 3. So we have to figure something out here that is going to help us figure out what number do I use. Do I use 2? There's 2 cats at 5. There's 5 cats at 2 kilograms, or is it 5 cats at 3 kilograms? I mean, they all could be stacked up by 3, or they all could be stacked by 2, or evenly dispersed. That's a good question. So the proper way to do this is to actually restructure your table. We're going to change it up. So for the weights, because half the weights could be above and below here, I'm actually going to use 2.5, 3.5, 4.5, 6.5, and 7.5, and kind of take the average weights between 2 and 3, 3 and 4, etc. for the weight. And then we still can use our frequencies. So 5, 19, 17, 5, 3, and 1. And I missed one, I think, somehow in here. I feel like I missed one. How did I get off? I missed 5.5. That's why. My bad. So you put this into your frequency table, just like before. And then you will find the answers of... You should get the mean of 4.2, and the mode is 4.5, because there are 4 right down the middle, I guess, of this list. 4.5 is in the middle somewhere, because I do believe there are 24 that way and 26, so you'd be right into the middle group at 4.5 for your middle number. And so check that out. Now, I'm finding these answers. Obviously, these are the examples in the book. They have them here. And I see that I've been trying to remember all of this stuff, but it's right here. So read this, because it's telling you where to go to look for these things. And actually, I'm thinking about it now. You guys did not need to go to your catalog, because that's for, I think, standard deviation. The rest of these are automatically there. Now, I did see a question come up earlier, because I'm kind of running behind here, about the modal class. The modal class right here. And it says that the modal class equals a 3 to 4 group. This group has more of the cat's weights than any other group. The modal class is the second smallest group, but this does not have much effect on the mean of the example, such as because the middle group is also quite large, whereas the top 3 groups are very small in comparison. So the modal class is the class, because this is a group, is the group where that contains the mode, right? Because the mode, actually that's not the mode. Yes, it is. We said the mode should be 4.5, so the modal class should be the second highest class. Group, it has more cats than... Oh, the modal class is the one that has the highest number of items in it. Does not contain the mode necessarily. It's just saying that it'll have the biggest pull for most of your numbers. So that's very interesting. And of course, you get into investigation like this. Actually, I'm going to go back to this, and they talked about mean, extreme values, and extreme modes. So when we're talking about these, think about that, is if one of our weights, cat weights from our problems here, what if there would have been one that was super duper large, like say, let's say 20 kilograms, right? Off the charts. So even if you notice this, that the weights of cats are kind of mostly, for the most part, from 2 to 5. The rest of these, 9 cats kind of hanging out here in the upper levels. So they must not be talking about American cats, because I know they get pretty big. But as we can start to see that if I had numbers, even up here, if I had ice cream sales that were in the 50s, that would be really kind of an extreme number. That'd be extremely low on this end of our numbers. Or if there was one at 500, maybe super hot day, just a one day, like 1 week where it was just extremely hot, those would shift all of our numbers in one way or another based off of just one number. So those are what we would call extremes. So using technology, I want you to find, the shoe sizes for these. using that, I would like you guys to still practice the mean, median, mode here. I know I'm moving kind of quick, but I think it's what it comes down to is that since we have already done this, we want to talk about these things right here. For each data set above, list the advantages and disadvantage of the mean, median, and mode, and which one best represents each data in your case. So if I go back to here and talk about dress sizes, does it, when would mode be really nice to know? Well, if we're talking about dress sizes and I got to order these things, maybe knowing who, what's the most widely used dress size might be a good idea, so I order more of those. If I got to buy material for all of these, well, then maybe I wanted to know the mean of the average size so that I can figure out how much material I need to make for this dress. Shoe sizes, kind of on the same thing. What shoe size should I have to buy the most often, especially if I'm going to try stocking stores, things like that. Commuters traveled. So what's the other one here? Mean, median, middle. So a person in the middle, so maybe we're going to try carpooling, figure out which one of these people should be grouped together. Maybe they're located in the same areas, maybe not the same areas, things like that. And then obviously we got some of this idea of grouped frequency tables, and make sure that you go down the middle when you're picking your values, and then you use your graphing calculator device to help you find those other values. And I'm not going to rehash all the stuff that we've already talked about, and I think you guys should be able to handle lesson 3B from here. I did put the homework in here at the end, so that way you guys would have it in one place. Just pause the video. These are the two. This is all one problem here, A, B, and C. Number 2, this is the ABC that you have to do 1, 2, 3 for. Remember, Modal Class is the one that has the most pull in that class. And have a great day.